guys, welcome to another episode of a HelloFresh unboxing. I'm going to make the Mamma Mia mozzarella meatloaves. Just want to give you a brief overview of what's included in the meal. The ingredients call for 12 ounces of Yukon Gold potato beef. We have balsamic vinegar, tomato paste, we have beef stock concentrate, and we have mozzarella cheese. I'm going to go ahead and get started, okay? I have 6 steps. The first step is to prep, and the second step is to form the meatloaves. Third step is to cook the potato and the loaves. Then the fourth one is to make the sauce, and the fifth is to roast the green beans, and then the last step is the first dish that we're going to make first would be the Mamma Mia mozzarella meatloaves. And let's just see what they have in here for us. We have what looks like panko chips. We've got the tomato sauce or tomato paste, mozzarella cheese, and we have the Italian seasoning. The next thing we have is the, what's this, some sort of HelloFresh beef sauce. We have onion, potato, we have the green beans. We have also balsamic vinegar. We have a clove of garlic. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything prepped, and I'll be right back. So I just finished the prep stage, and as you see here, I've got everything here in front of me that I need to make these mozzarella meatloaves. So just to review, we have the green beans, we have the panko chips, we got the Italian seasoning, we have onions, we have the mozzarella, we have the potatoes, we have the tomato paste, the vinegar, the stock, and of course the meat. So I'm going to go ahead and start preparing the loaves next. Let's call for the panko chips. This is what we're going to need next. We're going to need garlic, and remember I've included the garlic with the onions. We are going to need the Italian seasoning. We're going to need the beef. We're going to also need to put some salt in the beef. So directions call for a touch of salt. Okay, a little bit of salt. Also for a little bit of pepper. And so all of this is going to be to taste. We're going to go ahead and put in the panko chips, the panko crumbs. I like the Italian seasoning, but I really don't like a whole lot, so I put about half of the package size in that. I'm going to put in just a little bit of the onions here, just to give the beef some flavor. But the onion is really important in the next step, and you'll see that coming up pretty soon. Really, the next step is now to form the beef into little loaves. So I'm going to make 2 loaves next. So I'm just going to cover up my baking sheet with parchment paper. To me, it's just kind of it just avoids a messy cleanup, so I'm just going to use parchment paper. All right, so again, we have the panko chips. So now we have the panko breadcrumbs. We have seasoned the meat with some salt and pepper. I put in the little onions in there just to give a little bit of flavor. A little bit of salt as well. So I'm going to make 2 mini meatloaves. And that should be enough for 2 people. Okay. I'm going to just eyeball this and tear it in half here. Get to make sure that we oil our parchment paper. And I like to oil mine down with a little bit of olive oil. I love the flavor of olive oil. I just find that when you coat your parchment paper with olive oil, it helps the food cook more evenly and it gives it a nice flavor. Shape them into little loaves. And I'll show you what they look like too. Cute little baby loaves. And I'm going to tidy up my baking sheet. Okay. So I'm going to now show you what this looks like. So next up is to make our roasted potatoes. So I'm going to get a second baking sheet and then I'm going to spread them out on a baking sheet and lightly layer it with a little bit of olive oil so it'll coat the potatoes thoroughly and create a nice brown golden color. Okay guys, so I'm going to cover up my baking sheet with a little bit of parchment paper. I'm going to drizzle just a cap full of olive oil over the surface because again we want that flavor. We want flavor. We want it to taste really good. Okay. So put the potatoes here. Nice and tidy here. And we're going to cover these with the remaining Italian seasoning, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and a little bit of olive oil. So the next part is to now season these potatoes. So I'm now going to put a little bit of layer of Italian seasoning. Okay, I'll show you what this looks like. Great to coat it well. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of salt here on them, just to give them a little bit of extra zip. And then I'm going to cover it more with some pepper. This is all to your taste, so this is according to your own taste buds. Okay, so this here is an individual thing. So next I'm going to let you take a look at how these look up close and personal. And it's so beautiful. It looks like, if you've ever been out in nature, say if you've gone to a lake, it kind of looks like you're in nature, you're walking up to the water's edge and you see these big pebbles and they're covered with moss. That's what it looks like to me. And I just really enjoy nature so much. I wish I was outside now. So here is a close-up of our potatoes. Aren't they gorgeous? See how green they are? Okay, so what I'm going to do next is put these in the oven along with the meatloaves for about 25 minutes, temperature of about 350, and I can't wait to see how they turn out. I'm gonna put these little mini meatloaves in the oven with our baked potatoes, our roasting potatoes, and they should stay in the oven for about 20-25 minutes. Alright guys, so what I've done so far was I've made the meatloaves. I have diced the roasted potatoes and I've coated them with the Italian seasoning, a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. And they're now in the oven roasting. I'm going to take them out in a few moments. So guys, I'm going to show you how to make the sauce next. So I'm going to turn on the heat to medium. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in the pan here. I'm going to put our onions in, and I left a little bit of garlic in here because I wanted the onion to be infused with the garlic flavor. Okay, I'm going to let this get soft. Honey and the stock. Let this caramelize on the stove for about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to put the vinegar in with a few tablespoons of water. I'm going to put in the tomato paste and the stock. I really enjoy cooking with HelloFresh because the directions are so easy and simple. Just follow it 1, 2, 3. It's very easy. Okay, so the onions are really starting to soften up now. See here? And I'll give you a close-up view in a minute. It smells really good. So I'm really curious to know what you guys have tried so far. If you've tried HelloFresh before, if you like their meals, what would you do differently? What kind of changes you would make to it? You know, we all have our own unique style and flavors. I just kind of think that HelloFresh is a good foundation because you don't necessarily have to use all of the ingredients. You can leave out the vinegar if you want and just add the stock, okay, or vice versa. Substitute your own seasonings that you like. You don't necessarily have to put Italian seasoning on the potatoes. You can just put garlic and onion, salt and pepper on them, and maybe coat them with some Parmesan cheese. So my philosophy is you do what you love to do. As long as you love it, you do it. It's not hurting anybody. Go ahead and do it. And then just share it with other people. Because I want to know, I really want to know what kind of ideas and different styles and different methods from you guys. Okay, I'm starting to hear it simmer. You can hear the pop. Okay, so this is what the onions are looking like right now. It's supposed to simmer here in the pan for about 8 to 10 minutes. I think I've been doing this for about 5. I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of the ingredients. And per the directions, I'm going to go ahead now add the vinegar. And again, I've added some water. It's about 2 tablespoons of water to the mixture. The next thing is to add the honey. As I was mentioning before, you can kind of, you can put your own alternatives in here. This called for sugar. I decided to add honey because I like the naturalness and the wholesomeness of the honey in the dishes. I prefer to go natural if I can. I'm not opposed to using sugar, but in this case, I just wanted to use honey in it. Again, you do what you enjoy. It's all about you. Okay. So it looks like, from what I can tell, it looks like the onions are starting to caramelize. Right now, there is a very strong scent of vinegar. Here for about 2 minutes now after I've added the vinegar and the water and the honey. So I'm going to now put in the rest of the ingredients, which is the tomato paste and the stock. Stir this together. Give it a good swish around and stir it. Make sure that it's really combined. So this is supposed to now cook for about 1 to 2 minutes. So after adding your tomato paste and the stock, you let this simmer for another 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, look at that. Look at this. Look at that. It's beautiful. As I think it's time for the pepper and the salt. Turn down the heat. It's really starting to get going now, as you can see. So now, I really don't notice so much the vinegar scent because I've added the tomato paste to the dish. So I really notice kind of a tomatoey, peppery kind of scent, which is really delicious. Here, this is what this looks like. This is what it looks like here. So I would describe this as kind of a not purple, but a very rich, deep, tomatoey texture. Very thick. Check on the potatoes and our meatloafs. Look at this, guys. These are our meatloafs so far. So I have reduced the heat, and actually I think now it's time to take it off the heat because it looks like it's done. I don't want it to burn, but look how beautiful this looks. This is so beautiful. Look at this. So on top of our meatloaves, after the meatloaves finish cooking, of course, the meatloafs around, okay? Turn the meatloafs around. I'm going to move them over to the other side. They're not quite done, but they have such a nice tender consistency here. I'll show you them up close. Okay, so I'm going to now add the string beans in on the other side. I'm going to cook, okay, just a capful of olive oil, maybe one more. Alright, so I want you to see this, okay? What I've done here is I've already put the string beans in the roasting pan with our meatloaves, okay? I've coated it with olive oil, and now I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of salt, okay? And what I'll do is I will pepper that when it's done. So these go back into the oven for another 10 minutes, or at least until the meatloaves look like they're done. The meatloaves are really tender, they're not overcooked, they're just perfect. Okay guys, so what's left to do next? So just to go over it, we've already made the meatloaves, they're cooking in the oven. We've made the potatoes, they're roasting. We've put the green beans in there with meatloaves, and they are now on their last lap of cooking, so to speak. I think they'll be done in another 10 or 15 minutes. We've made the sauce that goes over the meatloaves, and so the last thing is to take the meatloaves out of the oven along with the roasted potato and the green beans, plate them. You need to cover the meatloaf with the sauce and the mozzarella cheese. Yeah, I think actually you coat them with, the sauce and then the mozzarella cheese, and then I can taste it and tell you what it tastes like. So I think I'll give it another 10 or 15 minutes and then I will be right back. Okay, so the meatloaves and the green beans are out of the oven, as you can see, and they're just freshly out It looks so great. There's just no other word for it. Look at that. There's our meatloaves, our green beans. So the next step in the process is to plate them. I'm going to put the caramelized onions on top and then coat them with mozzarella cheese. And then taste it. Okay, next up is dressing the meatloaves. A nice healthy serving of our caramelized onions and tomato paste. These with a little bit of the sauce. Okay, so we have both of them coated well with the sauce. And now for the mozzarella cheese. Wow. This is actually so beautiful. The other day, I was talking about meatballs in my last spicy meatball dish, and the meatballs rolling down the mountain like boulders. But this actually looks like a mountain topped with cheese. Oh, isn't it beautiful? This is so gorgeous. So I'm gonna put these in the oven for about 5 minutes, and then it should be done, and then I'll plate this, and then I get to taste it. Okay guys, so next thing is to eat it, and as I said before, I was trying so hard to make it match up with the photograph. This is a photograph, and this is my creation here. Yeah, there we go. That's my creation. Isn't that great? I would say that matches up pretty well, don't you? I like that. I like the way it turned out. I say this matches up perfectly. And I would say it took me about an hour to make it, once again because of the filming and the setup, but this time around I felt more comfortable with the directions and reading it and making the dish. And as you can see in the photograph, it turned out pretty well. So let's just taste it. It's interesting that, I love my food and I love the way that I cook, but when I have these directions and when it's something totally different than what I would expect, it feels like to me that my enjoyment factor has gone up because of the ease of making the dish. And I added my own little interesting twist. I love the potatoes. This time around I didn't add any butter to the green beans. I just roasted it in the olive oil. I love the roasted potatoes. I love the green beans, and gave it a little bit of salt. It's really good. Now I want to try the meatloaf. The meat is really, I use this word tender a lot, but I mean it is very tender. It's not tough. It's a good choice of meat. And it's very good. So this would make my third HelloFresh meal, and I would give this a 4. It's very good. And The sauce, the caramelized tomato sauce with the onions and the garlic and the vinegar, adds a nice kind of bittersweet, not bitter, but tangy, I would say it's more tangy flavor to the meal. If you like tomatoes, like barbecue, then this is going to be your thing. Meatloaf. Usually when I make a meatloaf, it's just with, I do use breadcrumbs, I sometimes use panko crumbs. So that's the similarity. The difference is that this particular meatloaf is very lightly seasoned. In this recipe, they just put panko crumbs in there, maybe some salt and pepper, and then the sauce is the ingredient that really gave it something that was really unique. So I think in this case, simplicity goes a long way. So it wasn't over seasoned, the meat wasn't over seasoned, and the sauce really just spoke for itself. So I would say if you make a dish, maybe focus on the spices and the sauce. Use seasonings and sauces and spices that you like, that are unique to you. So, thumbs up. Recommend HelloFresh. And if you would like to share your pictures, that is if you try the recipe, if you go to my website, angelsworkingonearth.com or SheilaInman.com, I will make sure that I post a recipe, and you can share your pictures on Sheilaisms, okay? And let's tag each other. I would be really interested to know what your experiences was with this particular meal. If you like HelloFresh, if you would recommend it, what kind of different things did you use? Did you, like for example, leftovers? I might want to make a meatloaf sandwich out of this, or turn this into a spaghetti or something. What kind of meals can you turn this into? What kind of extra creativity can you put towards this meal and turn it into something that's unique? So thank you for watching, and next up is another HelloFresh meal that I'm going to make in a few moments, but it's going to be a little bit of a surprise, and I will see you in a bit. Bye.